language by language, but the underlying concept is going to remain the same. So here, the concept that is being under the discussion is uh, type conversion. So does anyone know what actually type conversion is?
So converting data type to another data type, like from int
Exactly.
to float.
Exactly. So as you all might be aware of that in C, whenever we work with variables, whenever we work with some data, we are required to create some variables in order to store that data as part of the program. And whenever we create variables, we have to declare the data type for those variables. Now, on the very basic programming level, we will be working with the primitive data types. Primitive data types include int, then we have char, then we have float, then we have double. These will be the four data types that you will probably be, or that I would say are sufficient enough for you in order to get the basic things related to the programming in C language. These four data types, and even out of these four, you will mostly be working with these two. Float and of course is something that you can also use, but most of the things can be done with the help of int and char. Right? Float and double are just extended versions of int. In case you want to store some precision values, then you will go with float and double. Otherwise, you are good to go with int as well. Right. So whenever you are creating a variable, you are required to define the data type or declare the data type for that variable beforehand as the information to the compiler. Now the thing is, the program or the logic that you are writing requires you to convert one type of value into another. For example, uh, a very basic example. Suppose uh, you are let's say writing a program for calculating the total amount to be paid by a customer based on the items or the products that he or she has added in the cart. You have to calculate the round up value for the actual amount that he or she has to pay, right? So in order to uh, get the rounded up value from the number whichever you have gotten, that number might be say 297.345 or something like that. Like I'm just taking some random numbers here, and you are required to round it up so that it becomes a good experience for the user to see a rounded up number instead of seeing numbers with precisions, right? So here you would probably round it up to 296 or 298 depending upon whatever rules you are going to use. Now looking at this number, this is a number that is not directly supported by int, right? Because int says that I can only store a number which doesn't have a precision at all, and this number has a precision which says 0.345. And whenever comes a precision, you will have to either go with float or double. The difference between float and double is float will allow you limit for how many numbers can you have after the precision, whereas double is just going to extend that limit for you. For example, float will allow you only 6 digits after the precision. Double will say that you can have more than six as well. Yeah. Okay. So now this is the number, and you want this to be rounded up to some other number. And once you have rounded it up, again, let's say you decided that you will round it up to 296. Let's say 296. Now, if you will round it up to 296 and you will keep it as a float value, it will automatically add these things, like these extra precisions in front of that number, because the by nature or the very nature of this particular value is float. And if it is a float, it will necessarily have some precision. So in order to remove this precision from here, what you would intend to do is you would convert this number into an integer type. That is this one. Now, as soon as you convert it into an integer number, this number becomes 296, and all these values, zero point 0, etc., all these have gone. So what you are trying to do is you are trying to convert a float data type or probably a double data type into an integer data type, and this is exactly what you call type conversion. In programming, we also give it some other name. The name that we give, or the technical name you could say, is typecasting. Typecasting is just another name for type conversion, converting one data type into another. So this is a simple concept of type conversion. Now let us look at the question. What does it ask for? So it says which of the following type conversions can happen implicitly in C language. Implicitly means that can happen by default, or where the programmer need not interfere. The compiler is going to do it implicitly, or without any manual effort from the programmer. Whereas explicitly means the programmer will have to write some code in order to carry out that conversion. So two options have been given to you, I guess, in both the questions, into float and float to int. So you just have to find out which one is implicit and which one has to be done explicit. All right. So to answer this question, let me first write it here. It is int to float, and the other one is vice versa. That is float to int. Now, can someone tell me that how much memory is required by a variable that is declared with the int data type and a float data type? Does anyone know? Anyone?
Sir, could you repeat the question?
What is the size of the memory that is required for you to allocate memory for an integer type variable or a float type variable?
Sir, I think for int type variable it's 4 bytes.
All right, that's true. All right, or maybe let me just simplify this question to one more level down so that it becomes easier for you to answer. Because right now the size is not important. What is important for us is to know that which one is gonna take more memory. Will int variable is gonna or will int variable be taking more memory or float variable? What do you think?
Float will take more
Of course,
memories.
float is going to be taking more
Float, sir.
memory as compared to int. That's correct. Now, the question is, let's say if you have some data available in float. Now, float, as you said, is going to take more memory. That means you can consider it as a big box. Like, let's say this is a big box. And integer, since you are saying that it is going to take some less memory as compared to float, let's assume it to be a small box. Right? You can keep some data here, or you can keep some contents here, you can keep some contents here. Now, when it comes to transferring the data from one box to another, you will be able to answer that what is going to be implicit and what is going to be explicit. Now, if you want to transfer the content of the small box to the big box, do you think you need to make any adjustment?
No, sir.
Of course, you can simply take all the contents of this small box, you can just put it in here. There will be a lot of empty space that will be left out even after putting the contents from the small box. That's a simple thing. So if you try to convert an integer to float, if you try to move from int to float, you don't have to do any manual effort, or you don't have to write any explicit logic in order to carry out this conversion. This is known as implicit. Integer to float is going to be an implicit conversion because you are putting the contents from a small box into a big box. That can happen implicitly. There is no need for you to interfere there. So int to float, that means the first option that is here is going to be implicit conversion. Whereas float to int, let's talk about float to int. So now you have this box filled with a lot of contents, or whatever the capacity of this box is, you have filled the content of that capacity in this big box. Now it's time for you to transfer the content of this big box into small box. What are going to be the challenges?
There won't be sufficient space.
Exactly, there won't be sufficient space for all the contents to get stored in the small box. So what adjustment would you be required to do here?
Decrease the size of memories.
Yeah, exactly. So you will have to decrease the size of the data that you are going to be transferring here, right? So for example, now let's say this 297.345 was the data that was available in this big memory box, and when you are putting it inside this int, you will have to thrash out some information out of this, right? Because you only have so much space available and only so much of data can be stored. So, since there is a possibility of data loss here, this becomes important that the programmer needs to take care of this conversion himself or herself. Because let's say what the compiler will do is compiler will say, okay, 297.345 is the data that you have in big box in the float. If you try to convert it into int, it will directly say 297. Right? Based on whatever calculations it would have done internally, it would directly say 297. But you might want to increment this value to 298, or you might want to decrement this value to 296 based on whatever requirements you have. So just to make sure that you don't end up getting a wrong value or a falsy value, or you don't end up losing some of your data that you probably require for that conversion, this types of conversion should be taken care of by the programmer itself. And that is why this conversion is going to be explicit conversion. See, small box to big box is implicit. You don't need to interfere at all. Whereas big box to small box is something where you should be looking at. Right? Because that needs to be taken care of by you in order to avoid any data loss or in order to avoid any falsy result. So, did you guys understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, coming back to the question.
Yes, sir.
The first question says, which of the following type conversions can happen implicitly in C language? Now, I hope all of you would be able to answer here.
Into floats.
Exactly, it is going to be into float, which is going to happen implicitly. And if I talk about the explicit conversion, just the opposite of that.
Float to int.
Right. Okay, fine, we are done. Let's move to the next question. So, what is the size of an int data type variable in a 32-bit architecture? So, I guess one of you had already answered that any int variable is going to consume 4 bytes in the memory. So 4 bytes is going to be the answer. But as you can see the nature of the options here, these are the checkboxes. That means more than one option is the correct answer.
32 bytes can also come, sir.
32 bits, sir.
Exactly. So as you all know, that 1 byte has 8 bits. So 4 bytes will be equivalent to 32 bits. So that's why A and C are correct here. 31 is not correct. 3 bytes is also not correct. So that was an easy question to be asked here. Okay. So the next thing, okay, maybe let me ask you a question. How many of you have written Hello World programs so far? Okay, so all of you have already done so. Well, that's a great thing. So can you tell me, if you have already written that Hello World program in the C language, which library had you used?
Studio.h, sir.
You don't.
Include.
So you use this stdio.h file. Why did you use this?
Sir, it is a primary file where we have all the functions like printf, scanf, and those things.
Exactly. So the functions that we use
It
very
is the
common.
standard input and output library, right, sir?
Exactly, it is standard input output. Right? Standard input output is the full form of this stdio.h header file. That is the very basic C library that requires that enables you to make use of functions like printf and scanf, which are very common while writing C programs, because printf is something that you will definitely require in case you want to dump something on the output screen or on the console, whereas scanf is a very handy function when you want an input from the user. Right? So scanf is used for input, printf is used for output, and you can only use these functions when you import or include this standard input output file in your C program. Talking about the other options available as part of this question, IOStream stands for input output stream, Conio stands for console input output. These two are the libraries that we use as part of the C++ language. C++ is another language just like C, and a kind of similar to C language that we are studying in this course, but of course it has a lot of I would say extensions as compared to C, and you could say that C++ is just an extended version of C language. So the libraries that we use in C++ language are these: IOStream and Conio. So if you would be printing something, in C++ program, or probably accepting some input from the user in C++ programs, you would be requiring these two libraries, IOStream and Conio. Right? Specifically IOStream, because that is what is known as input-output stream. Okay. So for this particular question, the second option, that is stdio.h, is the correct answer. I hope this is simple enough. Shall we move forward?
Yes, sir.
All right. So next thing is, which of the following is are not keywords in C language? Well, we have to find out which of the following are not the keywords. So int, we have already talked about, it is one of the primitive data types, so it is a keyword, so it is a wrong option. See out. Okay, so
Sir,
just
C
like
out
I
is
was
with in C++.
exactly. So see out is the replacement of printf in C++ language. In C, you use printf in order to show something. In C++, you use see out. So cout is not a keyword in C language, it's a keyword in C++. So it's a correct answer for this particular question. Coming on to the third option, struct. What do you think about struct? Have you heard
So
of
it is
this?
it's a keyword used for structure, sir.
Exactly. So
In
far, we
C++.
have not introduced these user-defined data types. Currently, we are just working with primitive data types like int, float, etc. When we will, reach the stage where we will be introducing you user-defined data types, then we will tell you about struct. So struct is a keyword in C language, so it's not a correct option. Whereas friend is again a concept in C++ that I won't be discussing it right now. So friend, okay, maybe let me just leave it for now. So friend is a keyword that is again in C++ language and not in C. So these two are the correct options for us in this particular question, that is question number 5. See out and friend are the keywords, or you can say are the words or are the options which are not keywords in C language. The other two are keywords, int and struct. All right. So here comes the first, programming based question in this particular week's assignment. So as you can see, this program has also imported this stdio.h so that it can make use of printf function, right? Now, what this program is doing is, let me just try to zoom it up in case it is not entirely visible. Just a minute. It's like, anyways, let me go with this itself. All right, I'll fill all the answers at the last in case I might be refreshing between as well. So I can probably zoom it this way. All right, so I hope this program must be clearly visible to all. So what is happening in this program is you are creating three variables, A, B, and C, and you are initializing all these variables with the value 1. Please note the data type of each of these variables is int. Apart from that, you are also creating another variable x, again of integer type. You are performing some arithmetic operations here, then here, and after that you are asking that what will be the value of all these variables after performing all these arithmetic operations. Let me come and let us try to okay. Alright. So let us try to break down this program or this arithmetic operations that we are seeing here into lower level steps. So firstly, I would say that there are two or three variables A, B, C whose values are 1. And then it is saying that you want to perform A plus equals to B plus equals to C. So it is saying A plus equals to B plus equals to C. Now let me tell you about a very important concept in programming. The concept name is associativity. Associativity. And before studying associativity, we will have to study about precedence. Does anyone know what is precedence and associativity? Does anyone have an idea about this? Hello, no issues. Let me tell you. So, what is precedence? Precedence is when you encounter operators with the similar precedence, or maybe let me first talk about precedence in actual. So let's say you have an expression a plus b minus c multiply d divided by e, something like that, minus f or some, some complex
So
expression. Yes.
in C++, the precedence and associativity of the constructors cannot be changed. So
Let's not talk about constructors at all because constructor involves the concept of classes, and C doesn't support those classes at all. All right.
okay.
I'm just trying to make you understand that what actually precedence and associativity is. Precedence is generally used in the context of operators. That means when you have a complex arithmetic operation that looks like this, the problem for you is that which operator should you evaluate first. Now you have multiple operators available here: plus, minus, multiply, divide, and again minus. What do you think? Which operator would you evaluate first? So just like how do you
Division,
do it in
sir.
maths?
Division.
Sorry.
Division.
Yeah, you would do
E division.
division.
Yes.
Exactly, you would do division. The reason is, or there is also multiplication available here. So in maths, what do we do is we follow a rule called BODMAS, right? But in the programming, we don't actually go by BODMAS. What we have is we have the precedence of all the operators defined. And if I go to some web page that is going to tell you about the precedence of operators in C, precedence. All right, so this is a extensive list of what all operators you have in C, and it is going to define the precedence of each of that operator. Currently, I'm not concerned about all sorts of operators that it has provided. I will be concerned about only the basic types of operators. Those are multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. That's it. And where can you find those operators? You can find these at this row number 3 and row number 4. At row number 3, you can find multiplication. This is asterisk, division, forward slash. This is known as modulo division. Does anyone know the the difference between division and modulo division?
Sir, division gives quotient, sir, but modular division gives us the remainder.
Exactly. Correct. Excellent. So yeah, that's the difference between division and modulo division. So in C programming, the precedence of all these three operators, that is multiplication, division, and modulo division, is the same. And after that comes addition and subtraction. That means the precedence or the priority of addition as well as subtraction operator is same here. Now, okay, this is saying that you have to perform multiplication and division first. So let's do it. Now, the very first question is, I have both. Multiplication is also here, division is also here. Which one should I perform first? Should I do C multiply D first, or should I do D divided by E first? It's the question. What do you think? What should we do? It says that the precedence for both the operators is same. But now we have two individual expressions in this complex expression that are making use of two similar priority operators. And when you fall in such a situation, you go to associativity, this concept. So right in this table, I hope they must be giving associativity as well. Yes, this column, the last column, is going to provide you the associativity. And if you look at associativity, okay, so let me first tell you what associativity is. So when you fall in such a situation where you are unable to find out which operator has to be evaluated first, because both are having the same precedence, both are having the same priority. So associativity is going to tell you that should you go from left to right, or you should go from right to left. That means if you go to left to right, you will be evaluating multiplication first and then division. But if the associativity says you have to go from right to left, you will evaluate division first and then you will evaluate multiplication. Okay. But in most of the operators, at least arithmetic operators that you will see, they will have the associativity left to right. That means you will always move from left towards right. There is one special operator that has right to left associativity that I would like to point out here. It is going to be assignment operator. Here it is. This is the assignment operator, and this has the associativity right to left. Whenever you will see assignment operator, you would see that the value from the right hand side is being transferred or is being copied to the left hand side value or variable, because this assignment operator has the associativity of right to left, and probably all other arithmetic operators have the associativity left to right. Now that you know that these two have same precedence and their associativity is left to right, what would you do? Would you evaluate C into D first or D divided by E first?
C into D, sir.
Exactly. You would do C into D first, and whatever the result comes, you would divide that by E. That is the concept of associativity and precedence. That's it. Okay. We will use that in further questions, but I thought of introducing it here itself since we are now working with operators. Now, can you tell me which type of operator is this?
So one is arithmetic operator and equal to is assignment operator, sir.
Exactly. But this is a combination of arithmetic plus assignment operator, and this is known as some kind of variety of an assignment operator itself. So there is this assignment operator that you would know. Of course, we have already read it from the table. But if you look at this table itself, you would see this plus equals to, you would see this minus equals to, you would see this multiply equals to, you would see this divide equals to, you would see this modulo division equals to. Okay. So this is just a shorthand for, let's say if you are writing something like A plus equals to B. So this is a shorthand for A equals to A plus B. That's it. A plus equals to B is a shorthand for A equals to A plus B. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to break down this expression into its simpler form. Firstly, let me do it from the right hand side, because assignment operators have the associativity of right to left. And since both of these are assignment operators and associativity says that you have to move from right to left, I would first break down this right hand side expressions. And after computing the result from this, I will break the other operation here or the other expression here. So I will leave this A plus equals to as it is here, and B plus equals to C, I would break it as B equals to B plus C. Is this making sense to you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, let's evaluate it and let's find out what is going to be the new values for the variables. So it says B equals to B plus C. What is the current value of B?
1. Sir, but
Let
1
me-
plus 1 has been now changed to 2.
Exactly. So now it will become B equals to 2, right? So the value of B has now been overwritten to 2 from 1. Previously it was 1, now it has been overwritten to 2. But remember, by the time this operation was happening, the value of B was 1 only, right? That's why you said 1 plus 1, it becomes 2, and now B becomes 2, right? Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Now we have evaluated the expression till here. Let's evaluate it further. So it says A plus equals to B equals to 2. Of course, we can write it as A plus equals to B, just to make it simple, because B now has the value of 2. Now again, if you break down this expression, you would see A equals to A plus B. What would it be? What is the current value of A?
1,
It is 1. What is the current value of B?
2,
It is 2. So what will be the new value of A?
3.
So remember, A becomes 3, B becomes 2, but C is still 1. That means the value that is unchanged is C. A has become 3, B has become 2. So finally, after performing this complex arithmetic operation that you are seeing here, written in a fancy format, written in a fancy syntax, is going to yield in these values or in these updates. After performing all these updates, it is asking us to perform one more arithmetic operation here, which is this: x equals to minus a multiply b divided by minus c. Let me write it here. Minus a multiply b minus a multiply b divide c minus c and multiply b. This is minus c and multiply b. Let me just write down these values. So minus a means minus 3, b means 2, divide by minus c means minus 1, and multiply by b means 2. Now again, this is a complex expression that is written here in front of you. You have to evaluate it based on the precedence and the associativity rule of C language. You know that the precedence of multiplication, division, and modulo division is highest. Do you see any similar priority operators here? Yes, we are seeing it. This is multiplication, this is division, this is multiplication. So we will have to evaluate all of these together because there is no other operator that is present here. This minus is basically attached to this one here itself. Right? This is not an operator or not used as an operator here. This is used as a sign to this number called 1. Now, as you know that we have all the operators available here with the same precedence, what should we do?
So we should evaluate from left to right.
Exactly. So we should evaluate from left to right. So we will evaluate minus 3 into 2. What will it yield? It will yield minus 6. Right? Minus 6 divided by minus 1 multiplied. Now what should we do next?
So I think we have to again evaluate from left to right.
Exactly, we will do so. So minus minus will cancel out each other and we will have 6 by 1. So that will be 6. So 6 times 2. Now we have a simple enough mathematical operation here that we have to perform. It is going to yield a value of 12. So let's see if 12 is going to be one of the answers. Yes, so we can see that the value of x is going to be 12, and I guess that's the only option that says the value of x is 12. So it is precisely going to be the correct answer. But let us even cross confirm the values of a, b, and c. You can see that the value of a was 3, b was 2, and c was 1. So this option says a was 3, b was 2, c was 1, and x that we have computed is 12. So this is how we will be solving such type of questions. Are you able to understand this?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, so if this thing is making sense, I hope the rest of the questions will be easily solvable by you. Let us look at this. This is another similar kind of questions, and let me try to solve this one as well. This time they have increased the complexity of the expression. Previously, we have just 2 of these assignment operators. This time we have 3 in the same expression. And then again, this will be based on BODMAS, not the BODMAS, the precedence and associativity. So it is saying that it is creating 5 variables and it is initializing first 4 variables with the value 2. So it is saying that A, B, C, D, they all are 2, and I am going to write them here as well. A is 2, B is 2, C is 2, and D is also 2. And after that, it is saying A plus equals to B plus equals to C plus equals to D. Let us again get started by breaking down this expression from right hand side since it's an assignment operator. So A plus equals to B plus equals to, what should I write it as?
C is equal to C plus D, sir.
Exactly, it will become C is equal to C plus D. So what will it yield?
4.
Exactly. So it is going to yield us 4. That means the value of C has now been updated to 4. D remains the same, or even the other remains the same. C has been updated to 4. And this is the new expression for us. A plus equals to B plus equals to 4, which you can also say C. Right? Now let us again break down this expression. A plus equals to B. Okay, so I should do it as A plus equals to B equals to B plus C. This way. So A plus equals to, what will be the new value of B? The
6.
current value of B is 2, C is 4, so it becomes 6. 6, or you could also say it is C. So that means B has now become 6. All right. Now the new expression for us is A plus equals to B, and that is pretty much simple for us to evaluate. A equals to A plus B. What will be the new value of A?
8, sir.
Exactly, it is going to be 8. So now the updated values of A, B, C, and D are 8, 6, 4, and 2 respectively. Okay. So now after this expression, we have updated the values of A, B, C, and D. Let's look at this expression. It says minus A plus B. Minus A plus B. And it says divide by C minus D. Divide by C and minus D. Let's fill out these values. What is minus A? Minus A is going to be minus 8 plus B. B is going to be 6. Divide by C is going to be 4. Minus is going to be 2. What should we evaluate first?
So first 6 by 4 has to be evaluated first.
Okay, so what will be the value of 6 by 4? 6 by 4 will ideally be 1.5, but remember, we are working with integer type variables only. And when we are working with integer type variables, we will have to ignore the precision, right? Just like when I was talking about that when you have to convert a float type of value into int, the precision type of value will be lost. That is going to be the data loss. So here the actual value or the actual output from 6 by 4 is going to be 1.5, but anything after precision will be ignored and it will only yield 1. Minus 2 will be written as it is. So what should be the answer? Minus 8 plus 1 minus 2. What should be the answer?
So minus 9.
Exactly. It is going to be minus 9. Is minus 9 available here? Yes, it is available. It is the third option. Are you able to understand this?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let's move to the next question. All right. So maybe what would I do is I will leave these questions as of now because we have already done a couple of questions based on these precedence and associativity concept. Maybe the rest of these questions you can try them yourself out to find out if you are able to solve such type of questions. Otherwise, we can again discuss these questions in the next session in case you face difficulties here. Will that be all right?
Yes, sir.
Uh, okay, well, this, okay, let me take this question as well. So it is simply asking you that what is going to be the value of variable z after executing this code. So again, remember z is going to be of integer type. X is probably of float type. That is why it is able to store 7.8. And y is again of integer type 3. So if you divide 7.8 by 3, what will be the output? Let's talk about mathematics. 7.8 divided by 3, what is going to be the output? It will be 2.6. So 2.6 is going to be the output. But remember, you only have to show the integer type of z. And since z is of integer type, anything after the precision will be lost. And ultimately, what you will be left with is 2.6 is not the answer. 2.600 is not the answer. You are only left with 2. Because anything after precision is lost, you are left with the value that is on the left hand side of the precision. That is 2. Does this make sense?
Yes, sir. It's understood.
What will be the value of z after executing the following code snippet? A similar type of question. Maybe I'll skip this as well. All right. So let's take this one. By the way, how many of you have already worked out such operators, this plus plus, and, etc.? Okay, I can see three of you, majority of you have already done that. Well, that's great. I'll discuss this for the sake of others who have probably not studied about it yet. So, whenever you want to make an increment or decrement of 1 in any given variable, of course, you have an option available. Let's say you have a variable a and you want to make an increment to it. What you would do is you would say a equals to a plus 1. Similarly, if you want to make a decrement, you would say a minus 1. Of course, that is something that you can do. But in C, the syntax can be made more simpler by writing it as a plus plus or plus plus a. Similarly, this one a minus minus or minus minus a. A plus plus is equivalent to a equals to a plus 1 and so does plus plus a. A minus minus is equivalent to a equals to a minus 1, so does minus minus a. But if they both are the same thing, what is the difference? The difference is when they are used inside an expression. For example, I am saying a equals to 3. What does this comparison do? It simply checks whether the value of a is equals to 3. Like, this is what this expression is gonna check for you. But if I say here plus a, can someone tell me what will it do now?
Increment a by 1, sir.
All right. Can someone explain me the difference between these two expressions?
So,
Sir,
a
plus
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 plus.
does
The first one will check whether if it's a is equal to 3 and then increment. And second one will be increment and then check whether it's equal to 3.
I think you said just the reverse of the
the
actual
opposite.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
So
sir.
whenever you use plus plus in the beginning or at first, that means prefix. Right? Prefix means that you are going to be performing that operation first, and after that you will be carrying out the other operations, just like comparison here. Whereas in this case, you will be first carrying out the comparison, and after performing the comparison, you will increment the value. The same thing applies for a minus minus and minus minus a. Right? So here in this case, what will happen is, supposing the value of a is 2, it will increment the value first. So a will become 3 after incrementing. It will compare if 3 is equals to 3. Whereas here, what will happen is the value of a is 2. It will check if 2 is equals to 3. And after that, after comparing this, it will increment the value of 3. This is the difference. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
All right. If this thing is understood, let us talk about the logical operators. There are two logical operators. One is this AND, the other one is this OR. This is known as logical AND. This is known as logical OR. So why do we use these expressions is in order to check a condition. Let's say you write an expression here. Let's say you write if 1 is equals to 3 and 2 is equals to 2. Right? Something like that. I'm just taking some random expressions here. And then you are checking this if something like this is true. Now, whenever you use AND operator, you have to make sure that both the conditions means the condition on the left hand side as well as the condition on the right hand side, they both must be true in order to get the overall outcome to be true. That means if this condition is also true, the left hand side, if the right hand side condition is also true, then only this entire expression is going to result you a true value. Whereas if any one of it becomes wrong, it is going to be giving you a false value. Let me clear this up. So expression 1 and expression 2. So for that, we generally make a truth table. Let me make that truth table for you. There are two inputs, x, y, and result. Just give me a minute, please. All right. Apologies for the delay. Okay. So this is a kind of a truth table, right? And here we are going to be assuming all the probabilities that an expression can have. So I am assuming that one of the expressions y is going to be false for the first time and x is also going to be false. The second possibility could be that y is true and x could be false. The next possibility is that y could be false and x could be true. The other possibility is that y could be true and x could also be true. Can you think of any other scenario with two input combination?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir. There are only 4 combinations.
Exactly. There can only be 4 combinations. So how the AND operator is going to work out here is if both, okay, as I told you, it mandatorily checks both the conditions. If both the conditions are true, then only it is going to be giving you a true value. So here, this is the only case where you will get a true output. Whereas in all other cases, wherever you see at least one false condition, I am saying at least. If both are false, of course, that also satisfies the criteria. So if any one of the condition or at least one of the condition is false, this is going to give you a false value. Whereas this was for AND. If I talk about the OR operator, OR operator checks that if any of the condition or any of the input is true, if any one is true, the entire expression is true. So here, since they both are zero, they both are false, the expression is false. Whereas in every other case, the expression is going to be true because there is at least one true input. Here there is y, here is x, here is again x. So this is the difference. And has to and mandatorily checks that both of the inputs must be true, whereas or checks that at least one of the input must be true. That's it. Now, based on the properties that we have discussed, there are some more additional points that we should be discussing here. Let me first talk about that. Let me first talk about it in the context of OR. Suppose you have this expression 1 and you have this expression 2. Right. As I told you, that OR is going to be checking for the truthy expression. At least, let's say if you find the expression 1 to be truthy, let me first create an OR operator here, expression 1 or expression 2. If I find this expression 1 to be a truthy value, do you think that the entire result of this expression is going to be true? Is that a true statement? Let's say I am saying
Yes,
that
sir.
this is true, then this is sufficient for OR to make the entire expression true. So do you think that there is a need to even check this expression out? If we know that the very first expression itself
No,
is
sir.
true, of course, there is no need to check the other expression if you find the first expression itself to be true, because OR requires just one true input. And if you find that, you just move out. You don't need to check the others. Whereas, if you find it to be false, do you think you need to check the other input?
Yes, sir.
Exactly, you need to check because the other input is going to decide whether the overall output is going to be true or false. Now, whatever the other input is, if it is true, the entire overall expression is going to be yielding true. Otherwise, it is going to be yielding false. Right. So, in case of OR, if the first option is true, you don't even go to the other option. Now, if this becomes false, you have to go to the other option and check what is your value. Whereas if I talk about AND, let's say in AND, the condition is that both must be true. Both must be true. If you find that the first expression is true, do you think you need to go to other?
Yes, sir. We have to check.
Exactly, you will have to go to. But if the first expression is false, do you think you need to go to other?
No, sir.
You don't need to go to other. And what would be the overall expression result? If the first input is
False.
false, it would be false. So this is a very important thing that you need to keep in your mind while working with AND and OR operators. Right? Very most obvious thing, of course, since we have studied about truth table and understood the functioning or the behavior of these two operators, this is an obvious thing that you don't even need to check the other value in case you find a false in AND or a true in OR. But many a times I see students struggling with these things while actually writing the programs. Right? So please keep this thing in mind, and this will actually be used, I guess, in one of the questions that is being used here. Yeah, here I guess. Let us see. So here the value of x is 1, the value of y is 3. We are saying that the value of z is going to be 0 if this AND is going to be returning you false. If AND returns you true, the z is going to be 1. Okay, let's see what happens. The first expression says, the left hand side expression of this AND operator, it says plus x equals to 2. What do you think? Will this expression yield a true value or a false value?
So true value.
It
True,
is going
sir.
to be yielding a true value because x was initially 1, and since we are using prefix increment, it will first make an increment and then carry out the comparison. So x will become 2 by the time the comparison will happen. So this expression has become true. Now, let us check the right hand side expression. What do you think about right hand side expression? Will this be true or what?
So it might be false and then it will be incrementing by 1 like that, or
Just like we said, in case of plus x, it will be incrementing first and then comparison will happen. The similar case will be applied here too because we are using plus plus before the variable name. This is prefix. Prefix means
So
you
that
will
also
first
true,
perform the
sir.
increment. Exactly. This will also become true because y will become 4 first, and after that the comparison will happen, which will make it true. So this is also true. This is also true. What will be the value of z? Will it be true or false?
True, sir. So Z equal to 1.
Exactly. So z will be equals to 1. And we have only two options available here where z is equals to 1. That means second and fourth are eliminated. Now the difference between first and third is the value of x is 2 in the first, the value of y is 4, whereas in the other option, the x is 1, y is 3. What do you think? Which one is correct?
First option, sir.
First option is correct because the values of x and y have also been incremented. That is why first option is going to be correct. Is it making sense for all of you?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
All right. All right. Let us have a look at this question as well. Again, the values are going to remain the same. X is 1, y is 3. But this time we are not using prefix. Instead, we are using postfix. So remember, postfix means the comparison will happen first and then the increment or the decrement, whatever you are using. So here, the value of x is 1 and you are saying x plus plus equals to 2. What do you think? Is this condition false or true?
Sir, false, sir.
False,
Because
sir.
This
it's
condition
post
is
increment,
false.
so 1 is not equal to 2.
Exactly. Correct. So 1 is not equals to 2, so this condition becomes false. Since this condition becomes false, do we need to go forward? It's an OR operator. The first condition is false. Do we need to go to the other
Yes,
expression?
sir.
Yes, we will have to. But by the time we move here, remember x is also been incremented to 2. Right? Though the expression output was false, but x has now been incremented to 2. Here we are using prefix. That means the value will be incremented first, and then the comparison will happen. So the value of y is 3, plus plus will make it 4. 4 is not equals to 5. That means both of the expressions are false. So what will be the value of z?
0.
That is going to be 0. So we
So
have three
0.
options available here. What do you think? Which one is correct? The value of z is 0, but x is going to be 2 and y is going to be 4. So x2, y4, z0. Second option is correct. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Which of the following integer values of x and y the given code snippet prints are? Okay, let's take this as well. So remember, we are using OR operator, and the question explicitly asks us that for which of these inputs the output from this program is going to be 1. For the output of this program to be 1, at least one of these conditions has to be true. And for that, x should either be less than y or x should be equals to y. Right? If any one of these condition is true, you will get the output of y. Here, x is 16, y is 5, x is not less than y, neither x is equals to 5. So this is not the correct option. X is 10, y is 8, incorrect option. X is 16, y is 16. This is a correct option because this condition will meet. X becomes equals to y. Whereas x equals to 8, y equals to 14, x is less than y, this is also correct. X is 7, y is 27, this is also correct. So the last three options are correct here. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. Fine. So probably the last question, which of the following data types has the largest size in C? I
Double.
hope
Double.
we have discussed it in the very beginning that int is kind of storing numbers without precision. Float when you want to store numbers with precision, and you even want to extend that capability of storing more precision values, then you go with double. So double is gonna take the maximum size. All right. So I think we have solved all the questions. The ones that we have left out are the ones that you should do for your practice. Here it was not keywords, so cout was not a keyword, friend was not a keyword. Must be used for printf and scanf. It is stdio. It is 4 bytes and 32 bits. Explicit is going to be float to int. Implicit is going to be int to float. Fine. So all right. So we have left out three questions. That's why our score is 12 out of 15. So hopefully you will be able to solve the rest of the two. Is this one? second, and third. All right. So that's all from my side for the today's session. Please let me know in case you have any questions.
Sir, the precedence order is only for C programming, or can we use the same order for other languages too?
Most probably the same precedence is going to be applied for every other programming language, but it's better that you check the precedence rules for that particular language as well. But in most
Okay,
common
sir.
scenarios, it would remain the same. But again, it's better to check once.
Okay, sir.
Sir, I have a doubt in assignment PPA3, not graded.
EPA 3, yeah, tell me.
Sir, how to do that question, sir?
Okay, complete the program to calculate the value of a sphere. You are given radius as the double. You are given radius as the double value.
So, like, how to code inside that? So, it's not allowing us to code. So,
Is
Sir,
it not?
actually, there's a white space inside, so we should code that.
Firstly, you have to select the language C here.
Sir, I
As
was
soon as
able to do
Yeah, so as
like
soon as you
I
select C here, you will get this template code, and you just have to fill in this empty line, this blank line here. That's it.
okay, sir. Okay, understood.
You
Sir.
have to select the C option from the drop down. Once
Okay.
you do that, you cannot write on this grayed out area. You can only write in this white
Okay,
area.
sir.
Right?
Yeah, yeah, understood, sir. Yes, sir.
Uh, so the girl who was asking that question, was it based on how to attempt it or the conceptual?
No, sir, conceptual thing.
Okay, so complete the program to calculate the radius. You are given radius as the double value, represents the radius of the sphere. Calculate the volume of a sphere and store the result in the double volume. Fine. So what it is saying is that as if you look at this question, you are already given as an input a value of radius, which is a double type of value. And based on that radius or the value that is given to you have to find out the value. How would you find out the volume? You just have to perform this arithmetic operation. 4 by 3 multiply by pi. The value of pi, you have to use it as 3.14. Multiply r into r. So if I write it here as, you would be writing is at 4 divided by 3.
Sir, for
4
that
by
we need
3.
to say double volume, sir. Then only,
Sorry.
sir, we should input volume.
yes, first we have to declare the
I'm just
double
telling you
volume.
the logic. Of course, you will have to
Okay, sir,
create a
okay, sir,
variable.
okay, sir.
Yes. So you will have to declare a variable of type double itself, right? Because if you are seeing here in the printf, it is a float value. So remember that you have to make volume to be of float type, and the variable name must be same, volume only. All right. Is that all? Anything else?
No, sir, how to do that? I'm getting error, sir. That's why.
Okay. Let me try doing it. So I would say double.
Sir, I was able to do it. Can I tell how I did?
Sure. Yeah. Why not?
I just had like initially just declare a double as first volume, uh,
Yeah.
variable volume, and then I actually took three more double variables,
Okay.
A, B, and C. Initially, like I used it A being 4 by 3, C being 3.14, and then B being radius into radius into radius for radius cubed. Then I
Then you
had
multiplied
volume
all three.
as
Yeah.
then I had
Okay.
volume as A into B into C.
Correct. All right, yes, that's one of the options. Or if you want to merge everything in a single line, you could directly say double volume equals to 4 divided by 3 multiply, sorry, multiply 3.14 multiply r, r, r. This is going to also give you the same result. 4 by 3 divided by, oh, sorry, multiply by pi, that is 3.14, and multiply by r. That means 3 times r.
Sir, but we have given us radius, sir. So should give only as
Sorry,
3.4
this is
into radius.
radius. I did notice that. Yeah, it should be radius.
Okay, sir.
So this is how you
I've
can do.
given us a double volume in one line. Another
Ah.
line I've given us volume equal to 4 by 3 into 3.14 into radius into radius into radius.
That is also okay.
I'm getting a error, sir. I'm not able to.
What is the error?
1 minute, sir. Wrong answer. I'm getting the answer as 392.50, but the expected output is 523.33.
What happened? So declare. It's like okay, sorry. There was a
Sir,
glitch.
also like I initially had the problem of like 4 by 3 not giving the correct value. Because of that,
Yes, sir.
like it wasn't giving the. So I changed it to like instead of A being 4 by 3, I had changed it to just being 4. And then like added the divided by 3 at the end after multiplying everything together.
Okay, okay. All right. Yeah, this might be one of the things because you want the volume to be of double value. So you have to make sure that each one of these individual values that you have, they all must be in double format.
So it should be 4.0 by 5.0. So
Exactly.
2.0.
Yes, yes, correct.
Okay.
Because ultimately this 4 by 3 will be taken as integer type. So you have to make sure that they should be treated as double.
Now got it, sir. Got it, sir.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anything else, guys?
Similarly, sir,
No more
the
doubts, sir.
next one, the fourth one, I
Sir, yes, sir.
I
Fourth one
wrote out the
also double.
code, but like it's giving the wrong output.
Write a
I'm
C
not sure
program to
where I
calculate
went
the
wrong.
sum of first n odd numbers. The program must take an integer input from the user in a variable n. Calculate the sum of first n odd numbers. The program must also print the integer output as shown. Okay, so there is no program given to you. So you have to write the entire program by yourself in
Yes,
this case. So any specific difficulty that you are facing or you
like I
want
wrote
to
the
understand the
program, but
ah,
like it's to me like it seems like the calculation should come out correctly. There is no error with the like syntax error or anything, but like
mhm.
the output given is always just one.
Can you share me the code if possible?
Yes, sir. I've put it into the chat.
Okay, so what you're doing here is I is 1, sum is 0, and is this. You accept an input, right? Then you say while I is less than n, if I is
If it
0,
is
then
an even number,
increment the
then
value.
just increment it.
Okay.
Else,
Okay, so one thing is that you are doing this increment twice in case this
yes,
condition is satisfied.
yes, sir.
This is one of the problems. So what I'm doing here is I'm simply saying I greater than sorry I modulo division 2 should not be equals to 0. In that case, I would perform this sum equals to sum plus I, right?
Mm. Yes, sir.
And after that, I will make an increment to I, and at the end, I would be printing the value of sum. So if I do test run,
But then, sir, like, won't it just after it increments, it will just like ignore the next number, right?
okay, so
Because
in
it's
case of
even.
3, it is giving us the output 3. One second, let me read what the question is. To calculate the sum of first n odd numbers. So 1, 3, 5. Okay, all right. So one thing, all right, I forgot to mention that. So see, the condition that we are putting out here is I less than equals to n here. Okay, so this should not happen. Instead, what you should be doing here is you should be saying that I should be, okay, fine. Let me do it this way itself. Okay, and I is starting with the value of 1, and this n should only be incremented when you are actually finding the odd number. What is happening right now is that this I is getting increment every time. So the condition here should be that I is less than equals to n. That is completely okay. But let me try to explain it on pain. I won't directly reveal the logic. I would still want you to do it. See, currently what is happening is, let's say the input that comes to you is 3. What you are
Yes.
doing is you are checking 1, 2, 3. Right here, 1 is odd, 3 is odd, so your output is 4. But this is not what the question is asking for. The question is saying that if the input is 3, you have to find out the first 3 odd numbers. The first 3 odd numbers are
Okay.
1, 3, and 5. So 5 plus 3 becomes 8, 8 plus 1 becomes 9. What you're doing right now
So
is
my
this.
program is, instead of like saying which is the first 3, it just takes like up to 3.
Up to 3, correct. So you
Okay.
have to convert the logic in such a way that you have to find out the first, the given number of input odd numbers. That's a modification that you have to make in your logic.
Okay, sir.
Alright.
Understood.
Have you all understood what was the issue here?
Sir, can you explain the problem again?
Yeah, all right. So see, the question is saying that if you are given an input of 4, what you should be doing is you should be calculating the sum of first 4 odd numbers. So you will have to first find out that which are the first 4 odd numbers. The first 4 odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, and 7. It is not like that you have to calculate the sum of odd numbers up to 4. Up to 4, there are only 2 odd numbers, 1 and 3. But it is saying that you have to find out the sum of first 4 odd numbers. And first 4 odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir. Understood.
All right. So, yeah. Just a small modification in the logic would do it for you. It's going to be simple. Of course, it's not a complex logic at all. Fine. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Anyone else having any issues?
No, sir.
Okay. So if there are no more questions, maybe it's a good time to close the session for today. I hope you would have learned something new from the today's session. And all right, I wish you all the best. Please
Sir,
keep on coding. Yes.
sir, if you have doubts, where can we contact?
Okay. So there is this email. Sorry, the support email. You can reach out to that email. Do you know the support email?
No, sir.
Yeah, I think it is available on the website. Support yes or something. Does anyone else remember the actual domain email address? It is support es at the rate study.com. Or just give me a minute. Let me reconfirm this. Yeah, this is the email. You can reach out to this email.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we'll see you next week. Till then, bye bye and take care.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.